Gentani, and welcome to the Godfather Minute. I'm your host, Alex Robinson.
And I'm your co-host, Andy Robinson.
And together, we are the Godfather Minute Brothers. Today we're talking about minute 109 of The Godfather.
Alex, before I become semi-retired, I'm going to teach you to speak Sicilian. You ready?
Yes, let's hear it.
All right, you can. And after that, I'm gonna have you eat some food because you look terrible.
Okay, thank you. Free food, that's more than generous.
And maybe if you keep practicing, maybe you can be my consigliere. Tom's not doing a very good job.
Well, I want that food before the end of this month.
Alex, repeat after me. E minuto. Numero. 109.
109.
All right, now go walk around the parking lot, do your job.
109. I think this is the longest you've ever kept up your impression. Are you going to do it the whole
impression?
Episode?
What do you mean my impression?
I just mean that, you're usually by now, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with your impression.
Thanks. I mean,
I shouldn't have called attention.
You tricked me.
I jinxed it.
You tricked me into breaking character.
Still, that's got to be the longest. We'll put that in the record book as the longest one so far.
That's it.
Eventually, you're going to do a whole one in character.
Well, we have joked around, haven't we, about doing episodes in characters or maybe bonus episodes, like a very special Godfather Christmas and writing the script and everything.
Oh, yeah, Maybe we should experiment with doing, in the bonus content, we should experiment with interviews where you interview, something like that. Anyway, we'll figure that out off the air.
Great idea.
Let's talk about 109 while we're here.
109.
Anyway, I brought up the impression thing because I love the idea that if this is someone's first episode and they thought that you were going to talk like Don Corleone the whole episode. Is he going to do that the whole time? Minute 109.
What happens in 109? Pretty straightforward.
It is. It opens with Carlo minding his own business on the stoops, talking about gambling, and then Sonny and his bodyguards pull up in the car, and Carlo tries to run, but Sonny catches up to him and beats him silly, including using a garbage can lid to smack him in the face.
Wow.
So, pretty famous scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, classic scene. Very violent. Mm-hmm. One of the more violent scenes in the movie. It kind of goes on and on.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's also probably, despite certain exceptions we'll talk about, it's probably the most realistic violence in the movie because it's like the way people would really fight, not like in the movies where Indiana Jones gets punched 20 times in the face and it doesn't really have any kind of consequences. So and Carlo feels very real. It feels very documentary style. You know what I mean? Because it's shot from kind of like far away and So.
Yeah, and they're not doing like the kids nowadays see all the time in action movies, which is a lot of trick shots and quick cuts to different angles, and it's just a couple of shots for sometimes from a distance, sometimes close up, and they're just fighting. I wouldn't even call it a fight.
Sonny's throwing him a beating.
Sonny's just handing him his own arse.
It just occurred to me, do you think that Carlo could fight back but knows he can't fight back?
So in the book, Puzo writes that Carlo definitely chooses not to fight back, to just take the beating because he knows he has to, because
he's the acting Don.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. If he were to fight back, he could. Not only that, but also because of Sonny's temper. If he gives him reason, even more reason to fight, Carlo knows that he could end up dead.
Right. Dead.
Dead. As dead as Luca Brasi.
Yeah. So, so the camera would work. The fact that it looks very documentary. It makes you feel like you're one of the people who's watching it from who's like watching this happen in the neighborhood. It's kind of an interesting effect.
When Santino comes out of the car, he throws something at him. It's like a piece of wood, or is that a bat?
In the script, it says it's a sawed-off broom handle.
Oh, wow.
Which I think I remember us riding in the car with someone who had a similar broom handle for just for in case of emergencies or you had to. So I guess that's kind of what Sonny has there. And he tries to throw it at him. Imagine if he hit him right in that first shot. Stuck into his back and he just slumped down dead.
And then at the end of the scene, Sonny says to him, "You touch my sister again, I'll make you sweep up." He's all huffing and puffing, all tired.
So
yeah, those were the swinging 80s when we knew someone who drove around with a broom, sawed-off broom.
The 80s in New York City.
In New York City, yeah. You never knew he was going to come up to your car and
you get those guys, the squeegee
trying
men.
to wash your windshield.
The squeegee men, they call them.
Oh, I thought you had a broom handle because that would do less damage than the squeegees they had. Remember, you usually just paid them off because they could actually rip off your windshield wiper.
Really?
You really wanted a good
I would make them earn it. I would get out and inspect it and hey, you missed the spot right over here and really,
Hey, while we're at it, can you do oil changes? I was honking behind you.
Hey. So
we're a bunch of kids standing around.
Yeah.
Watching this fight.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, would you have stood around if you were playing stickball on the street? Would you have watched this fight?
I mean,
12 years old.
Probably. I think even now I would. I mean, I don't remember a time I ever wouldn't have watched a fight. I mean, maybe if I knew it was a crime boss and I was like, I just don't want to be involved. It just. But I think my instinct would be to just stay and watch.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's always
human nature.
Yeah, that's always a point of contention with my wife and I. Is that if a fight or something breaks out in the street, I'm always like, "Oh, what is this? What's going on?" And she says, "Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here." Just wants to not get involved or I think it's almost more just out of embarrassment for the people. So anyway, to me, I'm just like, hey, how many chances are you gonna get to see someone thrown a beating?
In live on YouTube, you can see them anytime you want.
That's true.
So when I worked in high school, I was a disciplinarian. And kids would fight not all the time, but occasionally there'd be a fight. And inevitably there'd be a big crowd of other high school kids around them.
Oh, yeah.
And most kids would not break it up. They would just watch.
Yeah.
And nowadays kids film it. To me, that's just so sad.
Yeah.
And we came down hard on the spectators. Why don't you help break it up? Why? And I agree with that. Overall, it's the right thing to do. But deep down, I almost felt like it's human nature. It's convincing high school kids to all get together and break up a fight is a really challenging thing to do. Because
not even high school kids. Do you think if a fight broke out in the street, people do you think regular people would go get involved in the middle of two drunks fighting in the street?
I guess it depends on the severity of the fight and if people knew them. In high school, they know who
each other.
Are.
Yeah, that's true.
They're just looking. The spectators just want to see a good fight. Yeah. So we always came down hard on them because it was the right thing to do is to try to break it up.
It's the system, man. It's the system.
Yeah, we were causing them to fight, right? And in the early years of cell phones, I remember there was a kid who was filming it, and it was the first time I dealt with a kid who was filming a fight in school. Yeah. And he didn't break it up, and he was filming it, and he put it on YouTube. And we, if I remember correctly, we pursued it just to find out if we could require him to take it down or whether he should and could be disciplined by the school for that action, the action of filming and posting it. And the answer is no to none of those things.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's the school's business.
Yeah, it just feels wrong, though. In a school, a kid filming other kids fighting and then posting it. Doesn't it feel wrong to you?
I don't know. I guess I've been out of high school for a long time, so I guess if you're wagering on it or something,
if you personally gaming.
What is the objection to it? Just that a kid is it promoting violence? Is it a kid gets humiliated on a video and then it's up there forever?
Well, the grounds for discipline for most discipline cases is it disrupts the educational process. So maybe it's sort of it's hard to say because
to me, it sounds like your freedom of speech is causing too much of a ruckus for my job. So you guys can't do that.
Well, it's like the kid should have helped break up the fight, and because he didn't, the fight went longer. It could be argued. That has nothing to do with the YouTube stuff. But
also, you don't know if you jump in to try to break up a fight, you could be the one down suddenly in a fight.
Yeah, if you're a kid, no doubt. Yeah.
Or even an adult, that could be true. You know what I mean?
Oh, in an adult fight. I mean, if you're an adult and you see a kid fight.
Oh, yeah, but you're talking about bystanders who are other kids.
Yeah.
So I think that's even harder because it is people you know. And so if you get involved in the fight and it at all messes up one of their games, then that the person's going to hold you responsible for doing it. Yeah. So I can totally, I don't think it's right to expect people to have to do it. I mean, other than
there's no social contract. Hey, let's all help our community get along better. It's like, no, just cut them loose. Let the consequences that whoever's getting. Okay, what if you don't know the circumstances? What if the guy who's getting the beat down is truly an innocent bystander? And there's some weird reason that this guy, maybe this is just a mugging, and you're all standing around filming this, and you put it up. Really, it could be that simple.
All right, I guess here's what we were getting far off the track. Well, because it's on track. Is if let's suppose if I was one of these people bystanding and I saw Sonny beating up Carlo, and Carlo was like, "Help me! Oh, someone help me!" Or it was like saying something like that, then I'd be more inclined to intervene. But if it's in this situation,
no bodyguards around, right? Because Santino's bodyguards were there.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Yeah, and some people do. I don't know if they're going to intervene, but some people they're trying to get too close. Yeah. And the bodyguards. I don't know if you noticed, but can you maybe look and see? We'll ask, we'll answer. I think one of the bodyguards is Cheech.
Oh, we'll have to check.
But we'll have to check during the thing. Only because he has kind of like distinctive, like bulgy eyeballs that you can kind of see. But anyway, we'll look during the break. But
yeah. So if the guy can say, "Help, I need help," then you're more likely to help.
Or it's clearly,
if he's already so beat down,
or if they're like laying on the ground and people are kicking the guy. You know, if the person is clearly making no effort to fight back or anything, then I would say, there's probably
so if it's kind of balanced,
but if it's two guys two people are sparring because of their egos or whatever, I'm like, that's their stupid faults. Or they should have friends who are jumping in and intervening for them.
Because you can probably tell if someone is truly being a victim. They're not going to necessarily put up the same level of fight. They might be backing away or trying to get away.
Yeah.
You know, in the eyes of you have the right to defend yourself. Mm-hmm. But I think we feel like we talked about this at one point. But in the eyes of the law, you are culpable for assault and menacing, all those charges they throw on you for public fighting if you don't run away.
Oh, I see.
And Carlo in this situation probably can get away with self-defense. Well, he doesn't even fight back because he was
stuck. Try to run.
He does try to run, and then he was trapped in that little garbage, like a zone area. By the way, I think this would be a great scene to do a modern day composting and recycling commercial.
What do you mean? Oh,
because Sonny's dumping the garbage on him and hitting him with the cans. Like, Carlo, you didn't take out the plastic.
I would like to see a public service announcement about that used clips of garbage cans from famous garbage can scenes from movies.
That'd be great in Portland in particular because we have composting here.
Do we ever?
Curbside composting. I think there's one point where there is some compost that falls out of the garbage can. So they said, Sonny, you mix the composting with the regular garbage. Next time, separate your glass or I'll kill you.
Well, so speaking of crazy sound effects, I know you are a fan of you have your Talk to Barzini highlights of bad dubbing, and I think this minute has some terrible dubbing in it.
It does, doesn't it? When Carlo shouts to him like, "Carlo, come here."
Yeah, but even when he's fighting and you hear him all like, "No, and there's also a one shot. Well, plus the punching, I think, is what does it. The punching sounds so like close up to the microphone, and it should be more like a. They didn't seem to take into account that we were listening to it from a distance, as opposed to, you know, everything else we're sounding far away, and suddenly these punches are like right up in the mix.
Yeah,
and
you
so,
probably can't even really hear a punch.
Yeah,
I mean, it kind
not.
of sounds like just like hitting a slab of meat, which is not.
Or maybe
really,
it probably just sounds just like a little, like a slap kind of a sound. Just
you know what? Let's try it right now.
Yeah.
How does this sound?
Go ahead.
Oh man,
That sounded real
I'm
realistic.
so sorry. Do you want me to press pause? You need some time to get your act.
You told me it was coming, so
I didn't mean to go that high because when it hits your teeth, it makes a difference. I'm going to go a little bit lower.
Maybe you have dermophagia. Maybe you're trying to. We can bring up the a listener brought up the on the dermophagia thing from last week. Should we do that now or in the bonus?
Let's do it now. That's this minute, right?
No, it's not. He hasn't started doing it yet. He's still hitting him with the garbage can.
Maybe we should bring it up next minute.
Yeah, we'll save it for the next minute.
Never mind, listeners.
Cut that all.
Little what is it? Phagia?
Dermophagia. Yeah.
Dermophagia teaser. Oh, so I wanted to ask: Is this real? Is this the same actor that plays Carlo in this entire scene, or is there any stunt double action going on?
I think at one point there's a stunt guy. I think maybe when he throws him over the railing or something.
Yeah,
but
he gets tossed.
Yeah. But I didn't notice any conspicuous, like, oh, look, you can clearly see it's not the stunt guy kind of a thing. But, so yeah, the other thing that I swear it sounds like it to me, that when in the, when he's like, come here, Sonny's come here, and starts hitting him, I can swear that they put it in the audience going, oh, like you can hear the audience all like, oh, like gasping at like the fact that someone's being beat up, and it's so it's very subtle. That's what it sounds like to me, but I feel like it's there.
Oh, cool!
So
I didn't pick up on that. It worked.
I
didn't pick up on it, so it worked for me.
Audio cue. So some other specific details to call attention to: his orange suit. That's a classic look.
Classic Carlo.
Yeah. This location still exists, and we're going to go to it when we do our Godfather tour.
Right. Where is it in the city?
It's 503 East 118th Street.
Oh, excellent. Probably looks the same as far as the steps and things, right?
The steps are slightly different. They kind of modernize the doorway a bit, but you can still see the original staircase kind of under all the stuff. And also, the street still has cobblestone, which it did in this. So it
excellent.
It had 1946, had it 1972 when they filmed the movie, and then it has it still today. So
cool.
The cobblestone.
That's probably why they filmed it there too, because it had their cobblestones from the 40s.
Looked like a real
Oh, excellent. Oh, I can't wait to go on our New York City trip.
So at the beginning of the minute, he's talking about betting baseball. And so just out of curiosity, this is the summer of 1946. What was New York baseball like in the summer of 1946?
That's public domain. We can sing that, right?
Yes, that is public domain.
Yeah.
We're allowed to sing it. I don't know if we can sing it.
Take me out to Buenos Aires, down the elevator I'll ride.
So it was a good year for Major League Baseball because with World War II ending, a lot more players were returning. There was an uptick in the quality of play. Not so good for New York, though, unfortunately. The Dodgers were closest. They finished 2 games out of first place. The Yankees were 17 games out of first place. And the lowly Giants, 36 games out of first place. So
terrible year.
Not a good year for New York baseball, unfortunately. But, Dodgers always ready to go.
I read a biography about Joe DiMaggio a few years ago.
Where's he gone?
I remember he was bitter about a lot of things, but he was bitter about having to not put that baseball was more or less canceled during World War II. Oh, right. And so in his prime years, he wasn't able to rack up more stats.
Wow.
Yeah, which...
It's funny though. He's not like, oh, I'm kind of ashamed that I played baseball when other people were fighting and dying. He's more like, why wasn't I allowed to play baseball while?
Well, and he played in the war. I think he went to Hawaii maybe, and he was playing in like the army teams and stuff. He wasn't actually fighting. I don't think he was fighting.
But those stats, the army stats, don't count.
They didn't transfer to Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
So if it weren't for those years, he would have gotten into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah, we still now no one remembers the name Joe DiMaggio.
Where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio?
The last detail I have is in the background. There's a Rheingold beer truck.
I saw that. What's that all
behind? Standing there behind Sonny. That truck was built specifically for the movie by the Rheingold Beer Company.
Whoa.
Which existed from 1883 to 1976.
Oh, wow.
And at their peak, they had 35% of the New York City beer market.
Wow.
35% of the people were drinking Rheingold beer, and
Holy
now
smokes.
neither of us have ever heard of it.
Wow, that is amazing.
So,
why did they? Do you know why they went under?
I think in the 70s there was a lot of that was when a lot of big companies started taking over smaller breweries and things and driving smaller ones out of business and stuff.
But Rheingold sounds like it was huge. Why would it have gone under?
I don't know. I guess it's one of those middle level ones. It's not small enough where it's a niche for the like diehard supporters, but it's not big enough for it's like RC Cola.
Yeah, maybe they went away because they were having union problems, Alex.
Could be.
You know what? This was the last truck. They couldn't get any more trucks to bring in the beer. Smuggled in.
The beer kept taking on like a molassesy taste.
We tried to make beer. This was a man with vision. He tried to make beer with molasses, and there aren't even any hops.
Everything with him is hops. So that's the Rheingold Beer Company.
He saves the light beer for last.
And it was revived. A company bought I think one of the family members of the Rheingold family bought the rights to the name and stuff and is trying to revive it. So
trying to do that now?
Trying to bring it back as like a niche, niche kind of, I guess,
the original New York
nostalgic
City beer.
Yeah. So
they should use the picture from the scene in The Godfather in their marketing materials.
That's true.
That would be the commercial. Be Sonny beating up Carlo, like, why are you drinking Coors Light? Next time you drink Budweiser, I'll kill you.
Have you ever seen that Hitler meme? The Hitler where it's a Hitler going on a rant and people dub in, people subtitle different things that he's yelling about.
I think
you should do that with Sonny, like dub in different. You could use it for any commercial. Yeah, no, different. You'd have to dub it in, and then you'd have to put whatever product Carlo wasn't using. You'd say like, "Why aren't you using, baby wipes?"
Oh man! Hey, for our tech savvy listeners out there, if there's any way I can get an MP3 of all the clips of the movie, but I don't know how to take out just the voice, leave in all the other sounds, the violence and stuff. I don't know if you can
probably
isolate
need it in a multi, multi. But sure, someone knows how to do it.
Well, I do have some things from the book. You want me to?
Yeah.
What you got? To sock them to you?
Yeah, sock them to
Sorry,
me.
poor choice of words after belting you earlier before. Is that still smart?
You always wear the smart one.
I'm trying to use more 40s terminology. Is that still smart?
Like horse? Oh, like smart like it hurts.
Yeah,
okay.
That one's smart.
Yeah.
That one's still smart. Not like everyone says. Frito's really talking about his tooth that's loose and sore.
Really?
It's like, it's smart. It's not like everyone says.
It's smart.
I want respect. I've been going around with this loose tooth, not going to the dentist.
Anyway,
back to the book.
The book, which I understand is a little bit different than the movie.
The book is different than the movie. The book is different than the movie. The book is different. The book is different. The book is different than the movie. Yeah. All right, a little acapella version.
Yeah, you like that?
Thanks for hanging with me, Alex.
Next time I'll do the beatbox. I guess that was kind of a beatbox, but it was more like a tap.
You were a human hi-hat.
Ooh, I was the human hi. Oh, that's my circus name. Alex, the human hi-hat Robinson.
The curtain opens and it's just you going. Do you do any kind of body movements, or are you just going? You just make.
Well, I lift my head up and down.
And then the curtain just shuts. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be back in 15 minutes for the next show.
Wonderful. And then maybe I'll do a duet with someone else, like the human bass drum. You just keep adding people to the drums at the side.
So, movies about carnies Oh, it's not about the actual performances. It's all the after performance drama. So what would be Alex the Human Hi-Hat drama within the Carney community?
I think it would be he would be deciding whether or not he could continue with the life as a human hi-hat or whether to go into dentist school like his parents want him to.
I'm thinking because you also have a beard, the bearded lady is really mad because you're the human hi-hat, that's your feature, yet you have this beard. So it's sort of taking away from her attraction.
I see. She's envious of my beard. Yeah. Okay, well.
Yeah, you're taking away her job. You're a job killer.
This beard's only big enough for the one of us. This beard ain't big enough for the two of us.
All right, back to the book. Alex Puzo writes on page 109. Now, this is information that happens in between. You don't see this in the movie, which is why I want to talk about it. It's filler. You don't see it in the movie, but Puzo writes about it. And it's pretty interesting stuff. Are you ready to take a peek behind the curtain?
I'll be a judge of that.
Are you ready to take a peek behind the curtain of Carlo's candy store operation?
Oh, boy. Yes, I am. Last I heard, he was doing real good offering policies to the African-American community there.
That's right.
Because they were driving around Cadillacs.
That's right. But Carlo's back selling candy. Page 241. Carlo.
Carlo writes.
I don't think Carlo can write. Yeah. Puzo writes. Carlo went in. So this is right before the scene that we're watching in a minute.
Yeah.
Carlo went into the large room in the back of the store. His two writers, a small wiry man called Sally Rags, and a big husky fellow called Coach, were already waiting for the action to start. So funny. Those are the two
Coach and Sally Rags
bookmakers. Yeah.
Carlo, his name is like Salvatore, Rigari or something.
Yeah, Rigario and Coachella. Carlo asked Coach, "Is the store phone tapped today?" Coach shook his head. "The tap is still off." So I'll pause there. What do you make of that?
Wait, Carlo asked that?
Carlo asked Coach, "Is the store phone tapped today?" Coach shook his head. "The tap is still off."
Meaning they have inside information from the police department.
Yeah, and I guess Coach is the one who gets the tips or is in charge of
finding out whether or not they're bugged.
All right, check this out. This is great. You thought Carlo was stupid before? Check this out.
He puts the stoop in stupid.
He gets beat on the stoop in stupid. Page 241. Carlo went to the wall phone and dialed a number. Sally Rags and Coach watched him impassively as he jotted down the odds on all the baseball games for that day. They watched him as he hung up the phone and walked over to the blackboard and chalked up the odds against each game. Though Carlo did not know it, Coach and Sally Rags had already gotten a line and were checking his work. I'm going to pause there. You want to take a guess, Alex?
As to what? What do you mean?
Why they're checking his work?
Well, I'm assuming it's kind of like, when there is no honor among thieves, you'll have to keep an eye on each other and make sure no one else is cooking the books. Maybe he's putting up stats that aren't the real stats, and he's kind of like skimming some off by changing the odds, to, a little bit, or maybe perhaps. There's been problems in the past where Carlo, because he's a dummy, has figured out things wrong. And
ding!
Which one?
Number 2. You got it right. Number 1 would be giving him a little bit too much credit, even though he thought there was something in it for me. Let's see. In the first week in his job, Carlo had made a mistake in transposing the odds onto the blackboard and had created that dream of all gamblers, a middle. So he actually put the real odds. That is, by betting the odds with him and then betting against the same team with another bookmaker at the correct odds, the gambler could not lose. The only one who could lose was Carlo's book. That mistake had caused a $6,000 loss in the book for the week and confirmed the Don's judgment about his son-in-law. He was stupid. No, Puzo didn't write that.
He'd gone to college.
Don Corleone had given the word that all of Carlo's work was to be checked.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Carlo didn't know it. I guess it was too embarrassing.
Yeah.
A couple other things in the book. Normally, the highly placed members of the Corleone family would never be concerned with such an operational detail. There was at least a 5-layer insulation to their level.
A lot of buffers.
Tons of buffers. But since the book was being used as a testing ground for the son-in-law, it had been placed under the direct scrutiny of Tom Hagen, to whom a report was sent every day.
They send him, not even call him. They actually, someone has to, Rags has to sit there and type up a report.
Sally Rags.
So question. You said something before that. Oh, when you said that they didn't tell Carlo.
Yeah. I assume they didn't tell Carlo.
I was saying, why did you think they wouldn't just say, hey, there was a slight problem. They wouldn't even say anything, or they'd be like, hey, you cost us a lot of money. Check your work.
Oh, Hagen, you mean?
Or whoever.
I don't think it would
whoever is the buffer between Carlo and the next layer.
Yeah, I assumed it would be Hagen, but there's nothing in it about there's nothing in it in the book. But I assumed he was not told because they're doing it and not saying anything. I guess the way it was written made me think that they were not telling him.
Right.
And yeah, it's a good question why they weren't.
Well, he might not know they're double checking his work, but
yeah. Oh, he knows that he messed up.
Oh, so he does know. Okay,
but he doesn't know that the Don said he needed to check his work.
I thought you meant they didn't tell him anything. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we're in agreement. Yeah, we're in agreement.
Absolutely. Okay, this is a good one. Page 242, Puzo writes. So this is after all the bets were placed and Carlo had all the cash. Carlo went out the back exit of the room and up a flight of steps to an apartment which housed the candy store owner's family. He called in the bets to his central exchange and put the money in a small wall safe that was hidden by an extended window drape.
Drapes.
Good place for a safe, right?
Behind the drapes?
Put it behind the drapes. Then he went... Put it behind the drape. If the money's in a safe... behind the extended curtain, I'll know the bets have been placed.
An extended curtain next to the window in the living room.
These things we're doing with drapes in Cuba are magnificent.
Back in the 40s, you never saw grapes. You never saw grapes like that. You never saw drapes like that.
These were curtains manufactured by a man with vision.
And it's going to be curtains for you if I don't have that money.
And the floral design on those curtains had nothing to do with business. I didn't ask how far extended, as long as it covered the safe.
The windowsill work will be done by the Panito boys out in Kansas City.
The macrame brothers in Oklahoma will come in to do their special work. I love how we're infusing a Hyman Roth now into everything.
He's the gift that keeps on giving.
He's sort of the cream of the crop, isn't he?
Because you know what's different about him is that he has pretensions of being sophisticated. Mm-hmm. Whereas a lot of the other people don't seem to have that. So I think that's why Hyman Roth is such a delightful character.
Yeah, they've put these safes behind the extended curtain for years. Believe me, I've been running candy store bets up to the second floor for years. It's in my blood. Let's see. Then, I'm now imagining it's Hyman Roth. Then Carlo went back down into the candy store after having first burned the bet sheet and flushed its ashes down the toilet bowl.
Also, before you said that the candy store was not owned by the Corleone family.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I guess it's just like any of the other things where, the candies, in exchange for Carlo using that, then the candy store gets some level of protection.
Yeah.
And, probably free candy.
Well, I'm guessing the guy, I don't know if they do sell real candy in there. I didn't read this part from the book, but when all the dads who have their kids are all playing in the street, and then when Carlo pulls up, the dads get their kids ice cream so that they won't ask questions, so they'll be all occupied with their ice cream while they go in and place their bets.
I thought you said they wanted, I thought when Sonny came by, they had all the kids get ice cream, so it looked like they were supporting the candy, they were supporting the store. I go, look, Sonny, we're all supporting local business. Save it for the library.
Okay, and this is when the actual fight, pretty close to when the fight happened. A police car went by. Oh, this is when they're still making the bets. A police car went by. They ignored it. This book had very heavy protection at the precinct and couldn't be touched on a local level. A raid would have to be ordered from the very top, and even then a warning would come through in plenty of time. Coach came out and sat beside them. They gossiped a while about baseball and women. Carlo said laughingly, I had to bat my wife around again today. Teach her who's boss. Coach said casually, she's knocked up pretty big now, ain't she? Huh? I just slapped her face a few times. It didn't hurt her. She thinks she can boss me around. I don't stand for that. Anyway, and then the scene continues.
So we get to hear Carlo's perspective on the on the fight. At least the perspective he's sharing with the boys.
I wonder if McCluskey had lived and the war escalated with Sollozzo still in the picture, McCluskey as his bodyguard, if McCluskey would have called in raids, because remember the raids would have had to come in from the very top.
Right. Yeah.
But still the Corleones would have been notified in advance because there are all kinds of cops on the payroll.
Oh yeah, they have people on different layers, all different levels. Makes sense.
Well, that's all I got from the book.
That's all I got for the minute. So let's rate this sucker. I'm ready.
I think I'm ready.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ding,
Whoa! Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
I was holding out a 4 for a bit, but then I was like, it's a classic, iconic scene. The Simpsons parodied it. It's got bad dubbing. And then it's got the Rheingold truck and,
two classic characters going at it.
Carlo's orange jumpsuit. It's too good. What did you give it, 3?
I gave it 3.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Originally I was like, well, there's no dialogue in it. And I was like, so Delta Duck a point goal at 4. But then I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is a Godfather moment.
It is. It really is. And Sonny's classic temper.
Yeah, and is it the only time we see Sonny beat someone up? Did we talk about this last week? He throws the guy's camera on the ground.
Yeah, we see that. In Godfather, he throws Clemenza against the wall when he comes in. Word on the
Take it easy.
Word on the streets, your father's already dead.
What's the matter with you?
We see Sonny in Godfather 2 in a flashback as a little kid beating up, who is it? Don Tomasino, maybe.
That's how he got in the wheelchair.
Yeah. When later in this movie, when coming up soon, when Don Tomasino tells Michael, bad news from New York, your brother Santino is dead. He's actually happy because he's the one who disabled him. So what do we got coming up in the bonus content, Alex?
Well, we have we're gonna confirm whether or not Cheech is in this minute. We're gonna talk about a fun fan interaction we had.
That's right.
Recently, and also
a real one in person.
Yeah. And then also we are going to announce the candidates for the next countdown song, which the Patreons will get to vote on. Currently, we are counting down until the
until minute 119.
Until Sonny gets shot on the causeway. How many minutes are left until that?
That's minute 119, and this is 109. 10 minutes.
10 minutes. 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left.
Oh. There shall be no acts of vengeance.
No acts of vengeance.
There shall be no acts of vengeance. Vengeance. There shall be no acts of vengeance.